Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's GentooMan here, also known as Rainy, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about Immaculate. Now, Immaculate is directed by Michael Mohan and stars Sydney Sweeney as a American nun who is brought in to a place of work in Italy that she quickly realizes is holding some dark secrets. Now, in full seriousness, I had not even heard of this movie until the poster went up on the coming soon wall at the movie theater that I work at. And I thought I knew what to expect from it because Sydney Sweeney is kind of like one of the it girls of Hollywood right now. She's in everything. She's been in everything for the past little bit. And it's another nun horror movie, so I pretty much know what to expect from those. So I was pretty sure that I knew to expect nothing too special out of this one. But I did decide to check it out, so I will let you know what I thought about it. Let's hop right into it. Starting off with the things I really enjoyed about this movie, I really enjoyed the atmosphere that it set up. One of the things it reminded me of, I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie, Gore Verbinski's A Cure for Wellness. I know it kind of got mixed reviews when it came out, but I really enjoyed it. That movie had fantastic atmosphere, and the atmosphere of this movie sort of reminded me of that one. It was like sort of a similar feeling, and I thought that was really well done, even just from the beginning, and it really reminded me of that. So the atmosphere was really well done in this movie. It felt really claustrophobic, isolated, and it just felt like sort of gave you that vibe that something was wrong and off about this place that should be really safe, and I thought that worked really well in the movie's favor. Another thing that I do have to talk about, but I can't really get too deep into it without spoiling the movie, which I won't do, is I appreciate where this movie went. Because with nun horror movies, you pretty much know where it's going to go, right? Like, you feel like you know what's going to happen, you know where it's going to go. Like, we've all seen nun horror movies before. Like, it's a pretty big like cliche and trend in horror, so we're pretty sure we know where it's going to go. And I have to give this movie props for when what's going on, the big secret is revealed. It is definitely not what I was expecting it to be. I was expecting the twist to be something way on the other side, so I do have to give it props for its originality and where the story ended up going, and I found myself quite invested in the ending of this movie because of what they do with that instead of what I expected them to do. And lastly, I do have to say that the performances in this movie were pretty good. Everyone felt like they were bringing their A game. The only thing that I do have to say is, unfortunately, Sydney Sweeney herself, in the beginning of the movie, she felt a little flat. She kind of felt like she was delivering her lines like a robot, but as the movie went on, she kind of felt like more in character and more like she was getting into it, and by the end, she was doing a great job. So, the performances in this movie were pretty solid. Now, moving on to the things that didn't really work for me in this movie, my least favorite thing about this movie was probably its over-reliance on jump scares. And I already don't like horror movies or horror games or horror whatever that relies on jump scares because it's not actually scary. It doesn't make you scared. It makes you jump, but it doesn't make you scared. You know what I mean? And it's especially frustrating in a film like this one, where it's set up this cool and dark atmosphere that already makes you feel on edge, and they just could have done so much more to make it scary and interesting, but instead they opt for the jump scares being the scares instead of actual scares. And it was just really frustrating because it felt like there was a lot of potential for it to be actually genuinely scary and unnerving, but instead they just try and make you jump every time, and that really took me out of it, and it made me really disappointed with this movie. Having a couple jump scares in the movie is not the end of the world. I understand jump scares are a thing in horror. They're not going anywhere. They're here to stay, and I understand that. There was so much potential with the atmosphere and the story and the setting of this film that they could have just done so much more, so much better with making it scary. I felt like if they had maybe refined the script a little bit more, it could have been something really, really special in terms of how unnerving and unsettling it was, but they just opted for the easy route with the jump scares, and that really took me out of it. Another thing is the first half of this movie feels kind of flat. It feels like nothing's happening, and a couple things do happen, but in the first half it's it doesn't really hit that point yet where you know what's going on, so you feel like you know what's going on. And I guess this isn't really points against it since you're like assuming something that's not true. But in the first half of this movie, I at least felt like I knew it was coming. And because of that, I was kind of taken out of it because nothing that interesting was happening. I felt like I was 100% sure I knew where this was going. So the first half wasn't all that interesting. Even thinking about it now that I do know what was going on, the first half of this movie is just not very interesting. Like, nothing happens. Like, Sydney Sweeney's kind of not on her A game in the first act of this movie, and it's just, it kind of isn't that interesting is all for the first half. But it definitely does make up for that in the second half. And another thing, this movie is not very long. I think it's only about like 83 minutes, something like that. So it's not like the first hour of the movie is uninteresting. It's like the first like 30, 40 minutes. It's not mind-numbingly boring or anything. It's just nothing that special, so you're not expecting anything special. But I guess you could say that kind of makes it better when the ending gets a little cooler. Like, the movie opens with a pretty cool scene that's fairly intriguing, and then, you kind of are bored for a little bit, but then you get back into it, and it's really cool again. So in conclusion, Immaculate was a bit of a mixed bag. I had heard really good things about it and how it was the first good horror movie in a while. I will definitely say it is a step above a lot of the ones I've seen recently, and there is a lot to like here. If you are a horror fan, I don't think it was great. I think it had the potential to be. I don't think it quite hit that point, but I do think it was good. And I was pleasantly surprised by it because going in, I had heard a couple good reviews and a couple really bad reviews, so I knew I was either in for another really dumb and not that great horror movie or for something that was actually pretty good. And I ended up getting the latter, and it was actually a decent movie. So if you're a horror person and you're considering seeing this movie, I'd say check it out, form your own opinion on it. I think it's good enough and different enough that it's worth seeing and forming your own opinion on. It's worth seeing, but it's not really breaking any new ground that you must run out and watch it right now. I wouldn't go running, screaming, and on fire telling people to go watch this movie, but if someone was saying they'd check it out, I'd say go for it. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new. You all know the drill at this point. And also, I just noticed that the channel hit 300 subscribers overnight. That is amazing. I never thought we would hit 300 this soon after 200. So thank you guys so much. I will have a 300 subscribers special up soon. And there's a lot more coming on this channel. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. And I will catch you all in the next one. Later.